Watch the video till the end. If you notice any mistake, please let me know in the comments so I can improve the next video. Do you think the bird can save its chicks?
Long, long ago, in a peaceful valley hidden far from the noise of the world, there stretched a vast and magnificent forest. This forest was not just a collection of trees. It was a living kingdom, breathing and thriving with life. Towering trees reached upward as if trying to touch the heavens. Their branches swayed gently with the wind, whispering ancient secrets that only the old mountains could understand. Below them, the ground was painted with a carpet of colorful flowers, yellow, red, purple, and blue. They bloomed proudly, adding their beauty to the world around them. Little insects buzzed happily among the petals, and fresh butterflies danced in the golden sunlight. Birds with bright feathers filled the air with melodies. Every creature, from the smallest ant to the mightiest elephant, lived in harmony. This forest was a paradise, a land where peace lived in every leaf, every breeze, and every drop of dew. Among the countless creatures living in this beautiful place was a very small sparrow. Her name was Leela. Her feathers were soft, her wings tiny, and her body light as a leaf. Most animals never noticed her. They would pass by her without a second glance, but Leela did not mind because she loved her forest deeply. She loved every branch, every flower, every sound. Her heart beat with the rhythm of the valley. Every morning, as the sun peaked above the mountains, Leela would flutter happily from her nest to greet the day. She would sing her soft song as she flew over the trees, watching the baby rabbits hopping, the deer drinking from the river, and the monkeys playing with each other. To her, this was not just a home. It was a world of joy and safety. But life is never the same forever. Sometimes destiny brings a storm to those who least expect it. It happened one summer afternoon. The sky had been unusually hot for weeks. The air felt heavy, and the leaves hung dry and tired. Even the river's water level had dropped low. The animals felt uneasy, but they did not know what was coming. Then, without warning, a giant thundercloud rolled across the sky. Lightning cracked open the heavens with a roar. It flashed once, twice, and then a third lightning bolt struck hard into the heart of the forest. That one strike changed everything. The tree that was hit burst into flames. In seconds, the fire spread from one dry branch to another. The wind pushed the flames forward, feeding them like a hungry beast. Thick smoke rose into the sky, turning the air dark and dangerous. The peaceful valley that had always been full of life now trembled with fear. Animals began to run. Deer leaped with terrified eyes, rabbits dashed into burrows, wolves and foxes sprinted in panic. Even the mighty bears and elephants, who feared nothing, were overwhelmed by the blazing fire. They all looked at the giant wall of flames devouring their home and shouted in despair, "The forest is lost. Nothing can save it now." Leela watched from her little branch as the fire moved closer. She could see trees fall, nests burn, and the sky turn black. Her tiny body shook with fear, but her heart burned stronger than the fire itself. She whispered to herself, "This is my home. I cannot just watch it die." The trees that had sheltered her, the flowers she loved, the friends she had, all were in danger. She looked at the river in the distance, shimmering faintly through the smoke. She made a decision that changed her destiny. Without wasting a second, she flew straight toward the river. The smoke stung her tiny eyes, but she kept going. The heat pushed her back, but her courage pulled her forward. When she reached the riverbank, she dipped her small beak into the water. She could only hold a single drop, just one tiny drop, but to her, that drop meant hope. With exhausted wings, Leela flew back to the fire. She fluttered above the burning ground and released the tiny bead of water. It landed on a leaf that was burning. It didn't put out the fire, it didn't change anything, but Leela was not discouraged. Again, she flew back to the river, dipped her beak, returned, and released another drop. Then another, and another. Over and over, she repeated the same painful journey. The animals who had escaped gathered at a safe distance. They watched the little sparrow with disbelief. A fox laughed loudly. "Look, what a silly bird. She thinks her one drop will stop the fire." A monkey swung from a branch and yelled, "Why are you wasting your time? Save yourself." Even the great elephant raised his trunk and shook his head. "You cannot save the forest, little one. The fire is too big and you are too small." But Layla did not stop. Her wings began to ache. Her throat burned from the smoke. Her tiny body trembled every time she flew through the fiery air. But her small heart whispered again and again, "This is my home, I must try." She flew to the river. She took a drop. She flew back. She dropped it on the fire. Every trip made her weaker, but her determination grew stronger. High above, a pair of old eagle eyes watched her. The eagle, named Arian, had lived many years and seen many storms. He knew the cruelty of nature. He had seen fires destroy forests before. He also knew that no one, especially a tiny sparrow, could stop a fire so massive. Yet something in Leela's actions touched him. Her bravery, her refusal to give up, her love for her home. It stirred something deep inside his ancient heart. He descended slowly through the smoky air and landed beside her. In a voice full of wisdom, he asked, "Why do you risk your life, little one? You know you cannot stop these flames." Leela paused only for a moment. Her chest was tight with exhaustion, but her eyes shone with determination. She said softly but firmly, "I know I am small. I know my drops are tiny, but this is my forest. My family lives here. My memories live here. Maybe I cannot stop the fire, but I cannot just watch everything I love burn. If I die, I will die trying." Her words struck the eagle like thunder. He looked at the burning forest, then back at the sparrow. Something powerful awakened inside him, something he had forgotten long ago. He lifted his huge wings and soared high above the smoke. Higher and higher he flew, until he touched the cold winds of the sky. He cried out to the heavens with all the strength of his mighty heart. Clouds responded. They gathered, darkened, and spread across the sky. Winds changed direction. Thunder rumbled again, this time as a promise, not a threat. A raindrop fell, then another, and another. Soon, heavy rain poured down upon the burning forest. The flames hissed and weakened. The smoke began to clear. The fire fought back, but the rain was stronger. And down below, Leela continued her drops, one after another, until her strength allowed no more. The fire was not gone yet. The forest was not saved yet. That moment belongs to part 2, where the fate of the forest, the sparrow, and all the animals will be revealed. The rain had begun to fall, but the battle between fire and water was far from over. The forest stood trembling between life and death. Red flames still licked the trunks of ancient trees, turning them into shadows. Smoke swirled like a dark ghost, frightening every creature that tried to peek from a hiding place. But on that burning ground, one tiny sparrow still hovered above the flames, determined and unbroken, even though exhaustion had wrapped around her like chains. Leela's wings were shaking. Her feathers were soaked from the rain, and the heat from below scorched her belly. Her breaths were short and painful. Every beat of her wings felt heavier than the last, but she refused to stop. Droplet after droplet fell from her beaks, small, weak, almost meaningless against the fire, but to her they were symbols of hope. Above the forest, the mighty eagle Arian finally reached the highest clouds. The winds lashed against him, lightning danced around him, but he did not waver. He spread his wings wide and sent out a cry, deep, ancient, and full of sorrow, a cry that carried the weight of centuries. And the heavens answered him. Thunder cracked open the sky. The clouds burst with a fierce roar and released torrents of rain. Heavy, powerful drops crashed down onto the earth like an army descending to save the dying forest. The animals who had fled earlier now watched from the hillsides. They were drenched, trembling, confused, and silent. Their eyes were fixed on the fire, and the small sparrow fighting it with drops no bigger than a tear. The fox who had mocked her said nothing now. The monkey who had laughed no longer swung from his branches. The great elephant who had doubted her lowered his long trunk toward the ground in shame. The truth burned inside them more painfully than the fire itself. They had run. She had stood. The fire hissed and sputtered under the heavy rain. Smoke curled into the air in long, defeated strings. The great flames began to shrink into patches of glowing embers. The roaring monster that had consumed their home was dying. But Leela did not see this victory. Her wings had given everything they had. They felt like stones, heavy and lifeless. As she flew back toward the river for another drop, her tiny body wavered in the air. The world around her blurred. She blinked, trying to stay focused, but her strength was slipping away. Halfway to the river, her wings collapsed. She fell, down, down, down through the cold rain and rising smoke, until her tiny body landed on the wet earth near a burnt tree root. Her eyes closed, her breathing slowed. For a moment, the forest forgot its fire and focused on the fallen sparrow. The eagle Arion swooped down the moment he saw her fall. He landed beside her carefully, folding his massive wings. His heart, strong as a mountain, trembled when he saw the small, exhausted creature who had inspired even the heavens. He whispered, "Little one, wake up." But she did not move. Her feathers clung to her body. Her small chest rose faintly, then fell again. The rain fell harder, washing away the last sparks of the fire. Water split into streams and flowed down the slopes, pushing ash away. Slowly, painfully, the fire accepted defeat. The animals approached in silence. The fox stepped forward, his eyes no longer mocking but full of regret. The monkey climbed down, looking ashamed. Even the mighty elephant moved closer, stopping just beside the tiny sparrow. The deer bowed their heads, the wolves lowered their tails, the bears folded their paws. None said a word. The smallest creature in the forest had done what the largest could not. As the rain continued, Arion leaned closer to Leela. He placed his wing over her fragile body to shield her from the storm. His voice softened, filled with a warmth no one had ever heard from him before. "Your heart is bigger than all of us," he murmured. Minutes passed, the rain calmed, the smoke faded away. And then a faint movement. Leela's wing twitched. A small breath escaped her beak. Her eyes blinked, weakly, slowly, painfully, but they opened. The forest gasped. Arion smiled, his old eyes shining. "You are alive," he whispered. Leela struggled to sit up. Her feathers were soaked, her wings trembling, but she was alive. The animals slowly gathered around her. Their eyes were full of emotions they didn't know how to express: gratitude, admiration, guilt, and respect. The fox stepped forward first. He bowed his head deeply. "Forgive me," he said. "I mocked you. I was wrong." The monkey came next. His voice shook. "I laughed at you when you were saving us. I don't deserve your forgiveness." The elephant bowed his enormous head. "I doubted your strength because of your size, but today you taught us what real strength is." Leela looked at them with gentle eyes. She did not speak words of anger. She did not remind them of their fear. Her heart was too pure for that. She simply said, "The forest is our home. We protect what we love." The rain continued to wash the forest clean, and gradually, life began to breathe again. The embers cooled. The birds that had fled returned to the branches. The air smelled of wet earth and hope. Days passed. From the ashes, new sprouts appeared, tiny green leaves pushing through the blackened soil. The flowers slowly returned. The river grew fuller and clearer with rainwater. Animals rebuilt their homes. Birds sang again, and every day, when the sun rose over the valley, Leela sat on her favorite branch, her heart full of quiet pride. She didn't fight the fire for fame. She didn't fight for praise. She fought because she loved her forest more than she feared the flames. The animals never forgot. Whenever a storm approached, whenever danger seemed too big, they remembered the day a small sparrow defeated a monster by refusing to give up. Parents told their children, "Strength is not in size, strength is in courage." The fox taught the younger foxes, "Never laugh at someone who is trying." The elephant reminded his herd, "The smallest hearts sometimes have the greatest bravery." And the great eagle Arion would watch Leela from the highest cliffs, proud of the little bird who awakened the sky itself. One evening, when the sun was setting and the sky glowed like gold, Arion flew down to Leela's branch. He sat beside her, gently folding his wings. "Leela," he said, "do you know why the rain came?" She tilted her head. "Because you called for it." Arion shook his head. "No," he said softly, "it came because of you." "Confused? Me." The eagle's voice became deep and calm. "When the heavens saw your courage, when they saw your heart fighting against hopelessness, when they saw a tiny bird doing what even giants would not, they responded. Not to me, to you. The rain came because your bravery reached the sky." Leela's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of quiet joy. The forest behind them glowed in the evening light. New leaves shimmered. The animals played freely. Peace had returned. Arian continued, "Remember this, little one. When you give your best, even if it's only a drop, the universe moves for you. Your drop became a storm." Leela looked at the sky, then at the forest, and whispered, "I only tried." "And that," said Arian, "is what saved us all." The wind rustled through the leaves gently, as if agreeing. And so, the story of the sparrow spread far beyond the valley. Travelers who came to the forest heard it from the animals. Birds carried it across mountains, rivers whispered it downstream. Generations later, animals still told the story of Leela, the sparrow who fought fire with a beakful of water and won. Not because she was strong, not because she was powerful, but because she didn't give up when everyone else did. Speech balloon and the message of this story. When life seems like a burning forest and everyone tells you your efforts are too small, remember the sparrow. A single drop of courage can call the rains that can save the world.